Hello, once again. Welcome to Kindling the Hearthfire and day 8 of the Sassafras Groves Brighid-Along 2020. Today we're going to be discussing Brigid's aspect that has concerning hearthfires, the fire of the hearth. Brigid's role as a fire goddess naturally extends to the all-important magico-religious act of tending the hearth. And once again, we're turning to Carmina Gadelica, Volume 1 by Alexander Carmichael for a description of Brigid as being part of the act of tending the hearth. And once again, I will not be quoting in the Irish, just to spare your ears. I will build the hearth as Mary would build it, the encompassment of Brigid and of Mary, guarding the hearth, guarding the floor, guarding the household, all. The hearth plays an important part in Imbolc celebrations, as its ashes are carefully inspected for signs of Brigid's visit during Imbolc Eve. I actually did not know that, and it was mentioned in Day 3 Initiation, which is an episode I haven't done yet, but I will be recording that and putting it out there fairly soon, since this is the 9 days before Imbolc. So, tomorrow is the last day. So, tomorrow, that's when that one will be coming out, and you can hear all about that, or you can check it out on the website before I even get around to it. Wonderful website, once again, done by Sassafras Grove. Has lots of resources if you want to practice along with them. Okay, and the virtues of Brigid, one of the 9 virtues of Brigid that is associated with this day, according to Sassafras Grove, is the virtue of piety. The hearth fire flames at the heart of the home. As we each worship at our own hearths, we feed the flame of devotion and sacrifice. Tending the hearth fire is the most basic act of piety. And a couple questions that are asked here to consider for this day. How do I tend my own hearth today? What is the state of my piety? And I would have to say that when I saw this question, I was kind of called out, considering I have background. We just came out, the ADF just came out with the Hearthkeeper's Way, and I was all gung-ho for it in the beginning and was doing it every single day, and then life got in the way. So I've been kind of lax with my acts of devotion and piety, which is understandable, and I'm pretty sure my deities that are on my hearth understand that I am human and things happen, and sometimes things don't go the way you want them to go. And one of the deities that is on my hearth is actually Brigid herself. And as I mentioned before, I've gone to Ireland and I've gotten candles and water from a Brigid's well in Ireland. So I would have to say my devotion is fairly robust. But my piety has been somewhat lacking in the last few weeks. So I'll try to get on that and do better in the coming weeks, or just recognize that I'm human, and sometimes you go through cycles where you just can't do all the little things that you used to do that used to be so easy. So it's completely and utterly typical of humans to do that, and our ancestors in particular were once human. I mean, their ancestors became from them. So honestly, I think they would understand that in particular. And some of the gods, especially in Irish culture, they were considered ancestors as well before they became gods. So honestly, I think they would understand if we go through cycles of time when our mental, physical health takes precedence over maybe the everyday rituals that we sometimes do. And we probably have to modify them or pare down on them or discard them entirely and change them up occasionally. So things happen. So speaking of piety, my definition of piety probably would consist of recognizing the gods exist and making sure that my actions reflect well on them as well as on me, if that makes some sense. My piety kind of revolves on taking care of myself and making sure that the gods are honored by my actions, and taking care of myself is part of those actions, because I've been in the habit of putting others' well-being first before my own, to my detriment. And I think that's part of what the deities that I are drawn to are trying to teach me, or poke me hard enough so that I realize that I shouldn't be doing that. So sorry if anybody heard that. I've got a new phone, so sometimes things pop up where they shouldn't. So, but anyway, to make a long story short, that's basically what my piety consists of. Is part of my piety is to be able to acknowledge that sometimes I'm human, and sometimes I have to take care of myself. And as long as there's a conversation going between me and who I am paying piety or devotion to, I think I'm doing okay. So, but that's where my piety is at this point. And one of the questions you could be talking about when you're doing this Brighid-Along thing is, where's your piety at this point? What does your piety or your definition of piety consist of? Everybody's definitions are going to differ, and you should be aware of that sometimes your idea of piety will not match up with somebody else's, and that's okay. And I think that's something you should probably take into account and think about, or at least something that I've taken into account and am thinking about over the last 6 or so months. I think is probably the latest cycle of it. But it's sometimes a lesson that needs to be banged into people's heads a little harder than others. So that's particularly what this time of year is bringing to mind. So I'll quit jibber-jabbering and leave you with the affirmation that they have here on the website, which is a wonderful affirmation. It's once again written by Maria Stoy, and it is the Hearth Tender affirmation for Brighid. Brighid, you are mistress of the hearth, keeper of the flame. Bless the work of my head, heart, and hands. May your flame burn brightly within me. May your love protect my hearth and my home. May your peace be with me, my family, and my friends. Bishewe. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you for continuing to listen. See you next time on Kindling the Hearthfire, and may you always pray with a good fire.